we're on one coast of Africa. We were hanging out on the East Coast. Let's jump over to the West Coast and change gears from the water to the land. So I'm really looking forward to this event. We are going to be hanging out with Mark Ofua. Mark is a veterinarian who set up an animal shelter in Lagos, Nigeria. It's the largest city in Nigeria. He did this about 5 years ago. So started off with what you'd expect, right? Dogs and cats. But he increasingly found himself rescuing wild animals, including one of the world's most endangered, the most highly trafficked, the pangolin. So he raises orphaned pangolins orphaned by the bushmeat trade, so he can then release them back into the wild. So I'm really excited. Let's bring Mark in. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Mark, obviously it looks like you're coming to us live from the shelter today, so it's great to have you joining us from Nigeria. Yeah, we're really excited to learn a little bit more about you, a little bit more about, how you came into this, how you came to be rescuing pangolins.
Yes. All right. My name is Ofua. I am a veterinarian, small animal veterinarian, and in the course of my work, I decided I have a passion for wildlife. And if you look at the way wildlife is treated in Nigeria, it's very, very appalling. It's very, very terrible. And rather than complain or join the strings of complainants, I decided to do something about it. So I started rescuing wildlife, which is unknown. I run the only dog shelter in Nigeria. I run the only wildlife rescue center in Nigeria. And I go to the bushmeat market. I talk with bushmeat traders, wildlife traffickers, hunters, what have you. I just try to reach everybody. And I have been able over the years to have this understanding with them. And I make rescues, rehabilitate them in my practice, and then release back to the wild. Now, over the years, we've had our challenges, but thankfully, we're surmounting them gradually. Now, in the course of my wildlife rescue, I came across one animal, very interesting, because I didn't even know, which is very sad. I didn't even know we had that animal in Nigeria. I came across the pangolin. Now, let me tell you something about the bushmeat trade in Nigeria. Let me tell you something about the bushmeat trade in Nigeria. Um, anything, anything is fair game for the bushmeat trade. Anything. When I mean anything, any animal, snakes, lizards, crocodiles, birds, monkeys, just what have you, tortoises, everything is fair game for the bushmeat trade. So you imagine going to the bushmeat market, and then you look at the table, you see an array of animals at the wet market, dead and alive, and then you see something that catches your attention, called up, covered by scales, and I was like, what animal is this? Because I didn't even know we had this animal in Nigeria. Thankfully, I studied, read about it, investigated, and oh wow, so we have the pangolins in Nigeria. And then another realization hits. It is threatened with extinction. And then another realization hits. Nothing is being done. Now, I am sure everyone has heard the story of the pangolins in Nigeria. It's quite appalling, and I'm sure that even the best of researchers really do not grasp the, the depth of the problem. Now, I'm currently doing a research for the IUCN, and the white-bellied pangolin, I have come to discover the average scale mass of a white-bellied pangolin is about 250 grams for an adult. Yes, for an adult is about 250 grams. So when you hear that there's been a seizure of about 8 tons, one pangolin scale mass is 250 grams, and there's been a seizure of about 8 tons of pangolin scales. The the math is staggering. So Nigeria has been at the the bottom of the bad news. The first seizure was made in Nigeria in 2018, and I think it was about 14 tons of pangolin scales. Last year, 2019 alone, about 128 tons of pangolin scales were seized worldwide. 60% of it traced to Nigeria. Seizures made all across the world, but traced from Nigeria. So Nigeria is like the hub of activities of this illegal trade of pangolin scales from Africa, from the west coast and all around the neighboring countries. They come into Nigeria, plus the one harvested in Nigeria, they are shipped out to the world. So I'm just saying this to let us know that, to let us know the immensity of the work that needs to be done. Now, with all these um, transit, export, trafficking of pangolin scales from Nigeria, let's take a look at what's going on in Nigeria. Now, this is a wet market that is put on display, as in this table is not what do I call it? It's not a black market. It's not hidden from public view. The trading is not done in hidden circles or something. No, this is a popularly known market. Everybody knows the location of this market, locals, internationals, governments, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. You see, so this thing is going on unabated. The pangolins are being harvested by farmers, by traffickers. There is a syndicate going on, and nobody cares. The laws are there, but nobody is doing anything to save these pangolins. Now, this is what has prompted me in my fight for wildlife. I rescue all animals. Honestly, I do my best not to discriminate, but I turned towards the pangolin. I lean more towards the pangolins because of their endangered status and because they are being harvested from our wild at a staggering amount, and nobody is doing anything from it for it about it. So I am focusing my energies there. I'm fighting hard to see how much difference I can make. As one person, really, there's very little I can do, but making my voice heard, speaking for the pangolins, getting everybody involved, trying to create noise for the pangolin is what I do. Now, in the course of my work, I rescue these pangolins, take them to my center. Um, I run the wildlife rehabilitation center from my hospital currently. So I take them there, rehabilitate them. You do not want to see the state in which these animals come. They come in terrible, terrible, terrible shapes. Um, Most of the time, they are dehydrated. They have lost body condition. They have lost body mass. You see some come with injuries from machetes. Some come with gunshot wound. It is horrible. I take them to the yes. That's how they are displayed on the table for sale, and nobody cares. So the ones I rescue. If you look at one on the left now, you see it's already compromised. So the ones that I rescue, take them to the rehab center, and I work on them, rehydrate them, treat them. I mean, this is done openly, and nobody really cares. That's pangolin dried and smoked, hung up in public as a delicacy. So we have a real and present work to do because the situation is a mess. So the pangolins that I rescue, I take them to my office. Oh my goodness. As I took this picture from a rescue that didn't make it, and as often as used as I am to the picture, whenever I see it, it hits me hard. It gets me emotional. It's I still can never get used to this picture. Now this is a pangolin that was rescued from the bushmeat trade. She had been severely dehydrated. Before we got to the hospital, she died, and of course, I did a PM and found out she was pregnant. Now this picture on its own tells a very sad, gives a very sad message. because these animals, this young lad should have been born in the forest to continue the line, but the mother is dead, the baby's life is cut short. That is the situation that we're facing. These animals are being harvested and there is no return. They are not able to reproduce. The cycle of life is cut short and the future is bleak. So, excuse me, sorry. So, I take these animals, take them to the hospital, rehabilitate them, get them well, and release to protected forests. I have about two or three protected forests where I make my releases. And it gives me such great joy to be able to give these animals another lease on life. But from the previous picture, from the previous picture, I noticed something. From the previous picture, I noticed something. The the pangolins, some of these pangolins that are caught from the wild, they give birth in captivity in the hands of these bushmeat sellers or the hunters or they give birth in captivity. And because nobody is going to eat these young ones, nobody is going to buy these young ones, nobody is going to use their scales because obviously it's too small. They just chuck them away. They throw them away because they don't have any value. And then it made me refine my it made me refine my activity again to focus on these young ones. So what I now do is I have an arrangement with the hunters, the traders. Whenever they get any young ones, they call me because it's useless to them, and I beg them, they call me and I go to pick them. So because of this now, I have started what you call a pangolin nursery where I take in young ones. So I focus now on the young ones, take them in and rehabilitate them, and then take to my pangolin rehab center to release. Now I did this. I learned how to nurse raise these ones. It's been an uphill climb. It's been very difficult, but our successes are increasing by the day. About 9 orphan pangolins that I have raised. We lost two, very sad, but we've been able to release 7. Now, one of such that we released was Ireti. Ireti in Nigeria means hope. She stayed with us. When we rescued Ireti, that's the picture of Ireti. Ireti was barely 2 days old. The umbilical cord was still attached, and it was still wet. So you know this animal had just been born. The mother was killed by a gunshot wound that had festered. When I got there, the mother was dead. So I rescued Ireti. Now, Ireti, more like my flagship rescue. We I we raise them on special formula. It's been very difficult because very largely my mission has been self-funded. We take profits or proceeds from the hospital. We take proceeds from the hospital to do this rescue work. So it's been an uphill climb, but we're very grateful for the successes that we've had. So basically, we raise them on formula with specialized formula from when we get them, which is about a few days old, till about 3 4 months old. We raise them on special formula, and then when they're getting about 4 months old, by this time the mother will be taking them out of the den to forage. So we introduce them. We have what we build like a pangolurum, where we introduce them to foraging. These are some of the rescues. So we have this pangolurum where we take them to rescue. Now, in the course of my work, I built a pangolin, like sort of a soft release center, the Pangolin Rehabilitation Center, where it's basically a forest that we enclosed. You see, it's a forest that we enclosed and fenced around, and then we made it pangolin proof. The top is made of sheet metal such that the pangolins cannot escape. So this is where we do our soft release. Now, when these young ones, Ireti, when they are, when Ireti was about 4 months old, we take her there to teach her to forage. At this age, she's not able to forage properly, but she learns the trick. She spends a lot of her time playing, but she gets to be interested in the ants. She gets to be interested in what's going on. and all that. And you see, after a while, they get the trick. See, that's Ireti on the tree. I had to manually take the ant. So I said, look, this is food. And immediately she smells it, she starts digging into it, she's interested because her instincts to feed kick in. And then we have this territorium in the pangolurium. When we take them, they spend a lot of their time playing, but also they learn the basics. Here they take sand and grit, which helps them digest their food. So they begin to build the intestinal bacteria and the grit they need to digest their food. That's Ireti also playing. Yeah. So Ireti got to be about 7 months old, which is about the time that she leaves the mother and becomes independent. And then we took her to the pangolurium, which you saw earlier. The pangolurium is fenced and is made pangolin proof. The fence is about 33 feet high, and the last 6 feet is made of sheet metal, such that the pangolins cannot have purchase. So we successfully released Ireti into the Pangolin Rehabilitation Center. Now, I am using Ireti as a flagship because of what her names mean. Her name means hope, and it tells me that there is hope for the pangolin in Nigeria. There is hope as long as we continue doing the work that we do. There is hope to change the state of things. Right now, as I speak, we're in talks with the government bodies, seeing how we can implement laws that are already existing. We are liaising with other organizations to see how we can change the state of things, to see how we can bring more efforts into the saving of the pangolins. And also, I go about, it's another important part of my work, and Ireti was very instrumental to that. We go about schools teaching the kids the need for conservation, the problems that these animals are facing, the threat that these pangolins are facing, because we know that these kids will take the message home to their parents. We're on the social media, and mainstream media, trying to change the mindset of people. It's not been very easy. It's an uphill task, but this is the project which we are faced with right now. We we run the Pangolurium, the Pangolin Rehabilitation Center, with emphasis on the pangolin orphanage, where we have about 2 or 3. This is Neil on my shoulder. Neil is about 4 months old, and he's beginning to forage. He's beginning to learn to forage, and very interesting. When you take them to ants, when the ants fight back, like the termites, and you get the termites biting them, they run away. They don't want to forage anymore. They prefer the milk. But little by little, they get the hang of it because, I mean, instinct kicks in and they know they should forage. So this is the project we're doing. This is what we're faced with. Imagine this pangolin. It had a machete cut right across the chest. We were able to stitch, treat, rehabilitate. She recovered beautifully and was released to the Pangolin Rehabilitation Center. So this is one of our success stories. This is what we'll do. And in recent times, I think this happened last month, we had a miracle. Somebody was so kind as to donate a trail cam to us, which we set up in the Pangolin Rehab Center. And one day I decided to investigate the trail cam, and lo and behold, we saw this miracle. One of our release had a pup that was born in the rehabilitation center. I think this is the first of its kind in West Africa. This is the first of its kind that I'm getting to hear of in Nigeria. It gladdened my heart. It was music to my soul because I know that this is awesome, and this means there is hope for the Pangolin Rehabilitation Center. Aside Pangolin, we also do this, and that is the story of Ireti. There is always hope for pangolin rescue. Thank you very much.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Just fascinating, you know, growing up somewhere and not even knowing that the pangolins were in the country. And then, you know, that discovery leading to what you're doing now, successfully rehabilitating and releasing them back into the wild, and then fighting to have those laws enforced. So it sounds like looks like he's trying to get the headphones.
Maybe he's looking for ants today.
So it sounds like there are laws in place, but a big issue is they're just not being enforced.
Exactly. There are very beautiful laws in place, but zero enforcement. Zero enforcement. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to take to get some change, to get that enforcement to happen?
Well, there's the strong and present need for political will to enforce these pangolins. Right now, when we go to government authorities, they tell us they have bigger problems. I mean, insecurity, corruption, and all that. But we're trying to let them know that this is a very big problem on its own. And we use the COVID experience and how it crippled nations of the world as an example. That look, if we do not stop messing up with this wildlife, if we do not put in laws that would stop the bringing of wildlife into town and whatever, that look, we could just be the next epicenter for disaster, and that gets their attention.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful that before the end of this year, implementation will take place from the pillars that we're receiving.
So, Mark, how old is your friend there?
This is Neil, and he's about 4 months old.
And where did Neil come from?
BUSHMEAT trade. He's a rescue. We got him at about a week old. The umbilical cord had fallen off, but from the BUSHMEAT trade, from the wet markets.
Okay. And then, so give us an idea of what the process is going to be now with Neil. How long is it going to take before Neil can hit that kind of release area?
Neil, right now, we just began his forage training at about like 2 weeks ago. He's going to be doing that for like 3 months more. That's when he's about 7, 8 months old. That's when he's ready to be independent. And usually by then, you can see that he's able to forage enough to get the weight that he's supposed to attain for that day. After each feeding, either with the bottle or foraging, we weigh them. So as he grows up, we reduce the bottle and more of the foraging. So at about 7, 8 months, they're usually ready to hit the wild. So we take them to the rehabilitation center, which acts like a soft release center, before we take them to the wild proper.
All right. Oh, just amazing. Just amazing to see him walking around back there, and just, that's the most highly trafficked animal on the planet. And I mean, I'm curious, like you said, you were the first person setting a shelter, to help animals. What's the community response like?
Well, initially when I started my animal rescue center, when I started the dog shelter, and then the animal rescue center, everybody thought I was crazy. That's the response. Even my fellow veterinarians, they felt I was crazy. My friends, family, they thought I was crazy. But with the turn of the tide, people are starting to realize that, so what this chap is doing is important. So there's some level of acceptance. Support, no, not yet, but it's been accepted. People are beginning to listen. When I told people listen, there's a change. And I know that even though it's slow, it's gradual, it's sure. So in the next 1 or 2 years, I am very positive reception will be much better.
Excellent. That's great to hear. And I'm so glad that, hotel owners and others are bringing you the young pangolin instead of, other options. So that is really great to hear. So Mark, if people want to support your work, because it needs support, it's important work. So I know there's the website for the animal hospital, so stmark.com.ng.
Yes, St. Mark Vet.
Yeah.
St. Mark Vet, yes.
I'm going to post that right now. Is that the best spot?
Yeah, yes, it is. It is.
Okay. I'm going to pop that up on the screen. We'll pop it up on the website as well. So there we go. Oops. Let's make that come in. There we go. stmarkvet.com.ng. And what really struck, well, I mean, I've hosted you before for an event not too long ago, but with school children. What really strikes me every time that we chat is just your passion, how passionate you are about the issue, how passionate you are about the native wildlife. And, every little bit affects you. And I mean, the work you're doing is so important. So thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for raising awareness in Nigeria and fighting for those laws to be enforced.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to pop Paul in here. Paul, what do you think? Oh, grab the mute, Paul. Paul, you're on mute.
I can't hear him.
I don't think he can hear us. Paul, you're on mute.
I was just going to say, it's impossible to follow you, Mark. You've got a pangolin on your shoulder, nibbling at your ear. I mean, what an act to follow. I tell you, it's interesting because we all know about pangolins now because of the COVID-19 pandemic, don't we? It came right into everybody's headlines. And there's been lots of action. The thing I like best out of all of these actions and all these words and all these promises and commitments is the thing about we're lucky we have a vaccine now, came from science, but the only true vaccine against a future pandemic is to reestablish our balance with nature.
Yes,
and we hear about pangolins, so to meet one in person, sort of in person, is a great thing. It brings the whole issue to life. Love your story, Mark. Maybe one day when we all get traveling, Joe and I will come and actually visit, if that's all right.
You'll be most welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Lovely to meet you. Really brilliant.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Great to catch up.
Thank you. He's shy.
See you, buddy. Nice to meet.
Thanks, Mark.